The thing that got us off on this tangent was, again, I'm sorry, pondering. What did you say you want us to
You can
call
call
it?
me Josiah. Josiah.
Josiah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
The thing that got us off on this was the tweet that Adam put out, which is that, if you're just calling Trump a fascist, okay, what is that? If you don't give any sort of explanation or understanding of why people are vote for Trump, and all you do is you label him a fascist, obviously, I think that's going to lead people in your audience to assume that people voting for him are voting for him because they want the fascist, and therefore there's no way to convince those people. There's no way to win those people over in a debate or in a conversation, and the only alternative is through violence.
I agree that it's bad
Okay.
rhetorical strategy, which is I don't do it, but everything you just said is true. People that support Donald Trump do support fascism. They're just too stupid to realize it. That is absolutely a factual matter.
Okay, so at that point we're just have to defeat these people through physical combat if we
Not
don't beat them through
necessarily. I
voting,
think that our
essentially?
institution still exists quite
Is
strongly.
calling them stupid
but, like,
a good way to win them over in a political fight?
Generally, no. That's why I don't usually call them stupid.
Okay, well, you just did.
I did now because we're having a frank conversation. I will have a frank conversation. The way that I appeal to Republicans, you call it empathy. I call it treating people like retarded 4-year-olds. That's how I reach a conservative. I've got to be incredibly patient. I have to be incredibly kind. I've got to pretend. I can't even pretend I'm talking to my son. It is condescending because they're
That's
retarded.
exactly what I'm
They don't
talking
believe in
about.
vaccines.
Yeah.
They don't believe in climate change. They don't believe in science. They don't believe in academia. Half of them don't think we went to the moon. They don't think that the election. How the else am I supposed to treat these people? Yeah, of course they're fucking retards. But yeah, you treat them like that. You be kind, you be patient, you be empathetic, and you do what you can. But at the end of the day, I believe in the things that I do for good reason. And it's not like I'm going to sit here and pretend that me and a conservative have the same factual standing on every single issue we debate. That's insane. It's literally the party of like science denialism. Half these people think the Earth is 6,000 years old and that dinosaurs aren't real. Like, how the fuck am I supposed to take them seriously in some kind of scientific or factual sense?
There's also situational rhetoric. Like I guess where I'm confused is like obviously if Hassan, Packman, and Cedar are saying, listen, when you're having a conversation with a conservative or conservative voter, instead of trying to appeal to them and apply some situational empathy, whatever, you should just call them fascist or fascistic supporters. Yeah, that would be incredibly stupid. But again, it's about situational rhetoric. These people are also speaking to an audience much like yourself, right? And so it makes sense that in certain contexts, they would describe the Republican Party as they just genuinely, bluntly understand it. And then when they're face to face with a Republican voter, they may say something else, or they may couch the language or use different rhetoric. I don't think that, number one, I don't think that's hypocritical. Number two, I don't think that that's anything unique to the left or unusual. I'm so confused. To me, I just don't understand what the issue is here. And I honestly don't think that we disagree too much. Because again, I think Stephen and I also agree that it would be bad to just vilify wholesale Republican voters nonstop. But then it seemed like the goalpost was being moved.
Can I
I
just make one point,
Sure.
and then we can go move
Sure.
to questions?
Well, I need to
Destiny-
respond to what Steven said.
Well,
but yes.
you can, but let me just make my point real quick. It won't take long. Destiny, you understand if you have a conversation about black crime, you're going to have to be very sensitive in that conversation because you don't want to create a stereotype, a negative stereotype
Like say
that
legions,
all
yeah.
blacks are criminals. Okay, so I think what all I'm saying is like the your response there, someone could look at and say what Destiny is saying is all conservatives are retarded. That would create a stereotype of conservatives as being retarded, which I think is unhelpful.
I agree. It is unhelpful that they're retarded. I understand what you're saying. Rhetorically, hold
on, let me be clear. Are you saying all conservatives are retarded?
If you support Donald Trump, you either have a mental disability or you need antipsychotics. Yes. If you support Donald Trump, there's something wrong with you. Yeah. Or you're not American to me.
There are plenty of never Trumpers. There are plenty of conservatives that didn't support Trump. There are plenty of conservatives.
Sure. And there are probably some conservatives that I would agree with more than especially progressives these days. That's possible. Sure.
Okay. Well, you're throwing those conservatives under the bus.
No, hold on. This whole time, I've
retarded,
explicitly been talking about Donald Trump supporters. When we're talking about supporting Donald Trump, the actions that he's taking, Republicans broadly are science denialists in policy positions, but I'm sure there are some conservatives out there that I can probably break bread with, or we have like major agreements in a lot of places, but they just like low taxes or something. Sure. Again, none of us disagree with the rhetorical strategy, but at the end of the day, you have to be able to call a spade a spade. The reason why I'm able to make any headway when you talk about black crime is because actually I am willing to own uncomfortable positions. Black people do commit more crime than other people in the United States. And you can play the games of like, oh, it's all institutional bias and it's systemic racism and blah, 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 blah. And like, yeah, those things factor into it. But if you're not willing to, admit that black people do commit more crime than other races in this country, you can't even get the conversation off the ground. And people see me, especially on the right.
But you're sensitive about the
people
stereotype.
I'm sensitive, but that doesn't keep me from owning the fact. And people on the right appreciate that. They're like, wow, Destiny says some harsh truths. But then as soon as I start criticizing somebody that doesn't believe in dinosaurs or doesn't think climate change is real while fucking Phoenix is literally melting into the earth, like, no, I think at some point, I agree, you can't be mean to people. And I try to be nice to people. When I go on shows, I'm nice and I'm kind and blah, blah, blah. But that doesn't mean that you can't ever say like, yeah, listen, if you support Donald Trump, you're kind of supporting a fascist. Maybe that's some behavior that's worth analyzing or worth reflecting on. I just don't say
Adam,
it too often.
Is Stephen obligated?
Well, no, it's just, and I hate to go in the whataboutism range, but just the whole, there's been a lot of science denialism on the right historically. I don't think any side gives a shit about science. People just use science and facts when it supports them, and when it doesn't support them. There's a host of science denialism on the left. The left's position broadly, there's a bunch of people on the left that believe in this blank slate insanity. There's a bunch of people on the left that do not believe in evolution in terms of that evolution has any effect on people's behavior, especially from a gendered perspective. So I don't like the categorization that's just one side that doesn't believe in science.
There are definitely issues.
Do you think there are any meaningful
2 second
degrees?
response. Yeah, 2 seconds response. There are definitely some things that the left gets wrong on science denialism or whatever, I'm sure, but it is not even remotely comparable. They live in different worlds of factual denialism. It's not even close.
Well, I don't agree.
I want to start with you for a closing statement if you're down.
Who?
We'll start with Adam.
Oh yeah, I mean,
A closing statement and shut up.
I didn't prepare a closing statement. I just, Destiny. It would be
Freestyle,
super
baby.
cool. Destiny, it'd be super cool if, like, you didn't call us a right-wing podcast. We're not a right-wing podcast. I believe in self-ID when it comes to your political orientation. Just like your sexual orientation. I think people should be able to pick it for themselves. So I'll just end it there.
Yeah, I don't actually think you guys are a right-wing show. If I had to guess, was this like a recent label, like within the past month that happened?
I don't think you've been actually very good about it. I think August, your editor, uploaded something calling us a right-wing podcast, and it could have been totally an innocent mistake.
My guess is going to be if he did it, it was probably because everybody was saying that that Anna Kasparian went on a right-wing podcast. Was that the episode that I covered?
No, this was long before the Anna Kasparian thing, but obviously
then I have
everyone
no
wants to
idea what
call
he said,
Anna
yeah.
Kasparian a right-winger now. So
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know why August
obviously,
said that. He fucked up.
That's okay. Thank you for acknowledging it. So,
Yeah.
and I do we cover a lot of your stuff, Destiny, because I mean, I really like the direction you're going. So,
Yeah.
a lot of this stuff here, I think we could talk about more. I think you're wrong on about half of it, but
Sure.
yeah.
And is that your finishing statement, Destiny?
No. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
That is my finishing statement.
Okay, great. And Sitch.
Well, personally, I'm not. I know.